Hello, Faith Formation families. My name is Mrs. Cathcart, and welcome to our first November Faith Formation lesson. Do you remember the 7 corporal works of mercy? Let's review. They are: feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, care for the sick, visit the prisoner, and bury the dead. During the month of November, we're going to be learning more about the corporal work of mercy, feed the hungry. So how are some ways that we can feed the hungry? Well, obviously, the easiest way to do this is to donate food to the food pantry. Our church even makes this super easy by collecting food on the first weekend of each month and taking it all to the food pantry for us. This weekend, we're doing our annual All of November cereal collection in just one weekend. Bring a box or 2 or 10 of your favorite cereal and help us fill the church trailer. Next weekend, we're collecting for Thanksgiving baskets, so remember to bring in your donation for that great cause when you come to church next weekend. Here are a few more creative ways that you can feed the hungry. You could bake cookies for a neighbor who might be lonely. You could volunteer with your family at Open Door. You could invite a lonely friend or neighbor to dinner. Try something new as a family and let me know how it goes. I want to share a little story about a saint who was able to feed the hungry through a miracle. Here's Saint Benedict with his twin sister, Saint Scholastica. They lived in the 6th century, 1500 years ago. Saint Benedict was a monk, which is a man who lives apart from the world and devotes his life to God. He's famous for writing a way for monks to live together and serve God in a monastery. One time, there was a famine, which means that farms weren't able to grow any food, and there were hungry people everywhere. Saint Benedict gave away all the flour in his monastery, and then, guess what? The next day, 200 bushels of flour were left at the monastery gate. If there were a Meyer back in St. Benedict's time, he would have had to buy 6,000 5-pound bags of flour to make 200 bushels. That's a lot of flour. Speaking of feeding the hungry through a miracle, have you heard the story in the Bible when Jesus fed 5,000 hungry people all at once? That's our big Bible story for this month. You can find different versions of it in all 4 Gospels, but we're going to read the one in the Gospel of John. A reading from the Gospel of John. After this, Jesus went across the Sea of Galilee. A large crowd followed him because they saw the signs he was performing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. The Jewish feast of Passover was near. When Jesus raised his eyes and saw that a large crowd was coming to him, he said to Philip, "Where can we buy enough food for them to eat?" He said this to test him, for he already knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 days' wages worth of food would not be enough for each of them to have a little bit. One of his disciples, Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good are these for so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people recline." Now there was a great deal of grass in that place, so the men reclined, about 5,000 in number. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were reclining, and also as much of the fish as they wanted. When they had had their fill, he said to his disciples, "Gather the fragments left over, so that nothing will be wasted." So they collected them and filled 12 wicker baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves that had been more than they could eat. When the people saw the sign he had done, they said, "Truly, this is the prophet, the one who is to come into the world." Whoa, that's some miracle, isn't it? With 5 loaves of bread and 2 dried fish, Jesus fed 5,000 people. 5,000 people would completely fill up the stands and the lawn at Dow Diamond, where the Loons play. All those people are coming to listen to Jesus tell about the kingdom of heaven. Except they're not at Dow Diamond, where they can just go get food at the concession stand. They're out in a deserted place and there's nowhere to buy food. So Jesus has a plan to multiply 5 loaves of bread and 2 dried fish into enough food to feed 5,000 people with 12 baskets left over. But here's what I love about this story. Did you hear where Jesus got the original bread and fish? From a boy who shared. Jesus starts with what we give him and multiplies it. Isn't that amazing? So think about this. I don't know how to perform a miracle like Jesus did, feeding a whole stadium of people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. But I do know how to invite a friend along when I serve at Open Door, or when I make a donation to the food pantry. And suddenly, my gift has doubled. Ready for a God sighting? Here's one of mine from this week. At Trunk or Treat at Blessed Sacrament last Saturday, there was the cutest little 3-year-old firefighter. He giggled as he touched my rainbow clown hair, and he giggled as he picked out a piece of candy. That little giggle is my God sighting. He brought me joy. That's it from me this week. Have fun with the rest of your lesson and share the love of Jesus. Bye.